Hey, I'm Angelica Hanson, owner of Haven by Angelica Hanson, and I am a professional intuitive, spiritual guide, and guardian of energy. I was born and raised in Minneapolis, Minnesota, about a mile and a half away from where George Floyd was murdered in May of 2020. Seeing the spark of life slowly leave a man's body, being directly in the energy of the aftermath, watching as my hometown literally burned down, it ignited something in me, and I could no longer ignore, I could no longer run away from the fact that I am supposed to be using my spiritual gifts and abilities to encourage the collective, to lead the collective where we've always been intended to go. I was a preteen the first time I recognized or noticed my abilities. It was a dream. I had a dream that I found a dollar bill on the way to the bus stop. Nothing wild. The next morning, I got ready for school, left the house with an attitude as per usual, and on my way to the school bus stop, I found a dollar bill in the exact place, in the exact same way that it happened in my dream. And I remember being like excited about it all day, like I couldn't concentrate, and I'm like, what does this mean? Am I? Aren't I? But at the same time, I was a preteen and I was like, you're a loser for even thinking you're special, or, you know, it was like, what? It's nothing. It's nothing. I spent years going in and out of remembrance initiations, which of course at the time that I was experiencing them, did not recognize them as such, didn't have the language or awareness to explain what I was experiencing. But the most powerful and memorable has to be years after having the dream about the dollar bill, my clairaudience, which is now my strongest gift, coming online. And I'll never forget it, because it was the day that the 35W bridge collapsed. And I was getting ready, doing my hair and makeup. Out of nowhere, clearly heard a train whistle. I heard a train whistle and like a train very quickly approaching. The thing is, I didn't live by a train. It was physically impossible for me to be hearing a train. So I just didn't think of anything of it. I was like, okay, whatever, it's weird. Continue getting ready, and it's just getting louder and louder and louder. By this point, I'm freaked out. I'm like, is something happening with me? Like, am I sick? Should I even be leaving the house right now? So I left the house and I took public transportation at the time. So I'm walking to the bus stop, another bus stop. And as I'm walking to the bus stop, this train is getting louder and louder, and the whistle is just like going. I get to the bus stop. I'm so frightened. I get on the bus, I sit down, and the news broke of the 35W bridge collapse. I don't have the knowledge, the language, the understanding to relate any of this to anything at the time, but the fact that I was hearing this train freaked me out. So that evening, I told my mom about it. I told her about what I experienced, and I asked her, I was like, is there any possible way I could hear a train from where we are? She's like, no. What's very interesting, the next day, my mom and I were headed out together, went to the same bus stop. My mom doesn't drive, never has. And I heard the train, and I immediately was like, and my mom looked at me and she's like, the train. I'm like, yeah, the train. And there was a random stranger at the bus stop with us. We gotta find out if anybody else can hear this train. And I'm like, no, don't, oh my God. But she asked, question, do you hear a train? And they're like, no, there's no train. And she goes, do you know of a train around here anywhere? And they're like, no train. My mom walks back over to me and she just says nonchalantly, it's the glory train. I'm like, huh? She's like, it's what you're hearing the glory train. And that was more or less the beginning and end of the conversation. And being who I am now, doing the work that I do, clairaudience being my strongest gift, I'm like, it's the glory train. I don't believe in spiritual awakenings. I don't think at any point, as it relates to our spiritual journey, at any point is any human asleep. I think we've forgotten, we're forgetful. I think we forget where we came from, who we truly are, why we are here, we forget that we are just as much divine as we are human. And spirituality, walking a spiritual path, ascension, it's all about remembering. It's all a remembrance. When I hear tarot, first and foremost, think of cards. A deck of carefully, sometimes beautifully curated cards. At the same time, I think of energetic sovereignty. I think of true allyship, because even though the tarot is a deck of cards, it's an energy. And if you allow that energy to penetrate your channel and your heart, the tarot, it doesn't care who you are, what you've done, what you haven't done, it is going to show up for you every single time in the exact way with the exact message that is meant for you. And that's where the cards go from cards to magic. For me, life is a ritual. I do my best to consistently infuse magic into everyday mundane things. So whether it's preparing and drinking my morning cup of coffee and infusing my intentions into it as I stir in my 5 cups of creamer, or being present as I nurse my son. Bedtime is a huge ritual in my household. Praying, calling on our guardian angels for protection, literally speaking thanks to our house, our home. Ritual does not have to be aesthetic. It doesn't have to be over the top. It can be as simple as living. Living is a ritual. I'm spiritual, not stupid. And I say that because, when it comes to spirituality, there is this culture of love and light, right? At the end of the day, not everyone is going to remember. And my prayer is that if you are watching this, that you do get that opportunity, that you do answer the call to walk your path of remembrance, because I can promise that it won't be without hardship. I can promise that it won't be without sorrow. However, I can also promise that it will be 1,000% worth it. It's so freeing. And that's my prayer for you.